everyone. This is Sally Hayes, founder of Madrikas, and I'm super excited today because I'm here with Carina Lane, who is the founder of Mindful Starts. Hey, Carina, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk to you. I want to hear a little bit about how you founded Mindful Starts and the story behind it.
Yeah. So when I experienced postpartum anxiety, I didn't realize that's what I was experiencing. I went to a provider who shut me down, and then I was like, okay, I'm educated, I speak English, I have resources. Why is this difficult for me to one access support and access the resources that I feel that I should, be available to? And I also thought of my mother, who's an immigrant to this country. And I didn't learn until later on that she likely experienced some perinatal mental health issues. And it made me think, well, what would it have looked like, back in the 80s when I was little? And what would it have looked like for her being an immigrant to this country, English not being her first language? Thankfully, I was raised bilingual, and I've done a lot of work in early childhood work. But after my own experience, I was like, this feels different. So after I got the help that I needed, and then I decided to pursue another degree. That's actually a lifelong joke that we'll likely talk about more. But every time I experienced something or had a problem, I went to school for it. So my most recent program was a master's in social work and to work primarily in perinatal mental health after my own experience, but also recognizing what was around me and what was likely missing too.
How were you able to finally get some support? Did you have to advocate for yourself and go through several channels to figure out how and where and what?
Yep, I had to go through several channels to kind of figure that out. Finally found a therapist, then got on medication, and was doing all of that when I was in a graduate program, raising a baby because I had a baby and decided to go to graduate school. Had lost my dad. So through grief, raising a baby, and all of the things, I kind of use that to kind of empower me to get through this, but to use my lived experience to support others who are likely going through many of the same things, but support feels unattainable. And that's something that I experienced, but I didn't want for other people.
I think this is a common story that I hear with people that it's difficult to find the access that you need. It's difficult to even know maybe what you need. Could you give us a little bit of info if you are someone with a newborn? What would be some indicators that you would need to seek some help?
Yeah. Often if you're experiencing disturbances in sleep, and yes, we know that newborns don't sleep, but even with support, having, caregivers or a support system there, if you're having difficulty with falling asleep, getting any form of sleep, if you're perseverating around, the monitors and the ounces and the laundry list of things that often come with newborns, that can be an indicator that you need help. If there's changes in your eating habits, that's also an important indicator to recognize that you may need something additional. If you're not enjoying things, of course, the new baby is a new experience, but if you're not able to find joy in just the little parts of every day, that newborn smell, or just, hey, I was able to get some sun and get outside. And there's a difference between baby blues and then perinatal mental health conditions. And people often can't distinguish both. But if we're going on for longer than what the baby blues are, then it's important to be able to seek help. But what the difficulty is that help just often seems unattainable and unreachable, and the people around us don't necessarily know what to look for.
I think that's a really good point. I think a lot of people kind of presume that like their friend will help them out or somebody that's near them, but I think we also live in a world right now that we do have very educated people who do know about all of this work and can help us. So if someone is experiencing some of these, disturbances in sleep, disturbances in food, not finding gratitude in the smallest things, where do they turn first? What are some options for them? I think probably people probably go to their provider first. And, we've had this conversation. Not all providers have a list of resources
Yeah.
for you. So what would be the best course of action for them?
Yeah, so oftentimes people do often go back to their provider. And of course, there are many wonderful providers, but some providers just generally prescribe some meds and that's it. Um, but they, depending on what state you're in, there may be a nurse home visiting program. There may be doulas that you can access that are wonderful resources and have those resources. There's just a ton of stuff that you can access that may not just be your provider. There are community mental health programs. There are national maternal mental health hotlines that connect you to resources. There's Postpartum Support International. You can chat, you can text, and kind of get the support that you need that will give you somebody local. But sometimes those resources just don't seem like they're available to you, or you just don't know about them and no one's really sharing them. Um, what would be my dream is that when people have to return back to work, is that their providers, their childcare providers would be like, hey, how's it going? What's going on here? Right. That's something I wish would have happened for me, that someone would have been able to notice. My husband noticed that something was different about me, but I wish some other people that were in my life would have been able to notice, we know she just had a baby, but something is definitely different about her. And even if those people who are surrounding are, in your surroundings can notice what are those signs and symptoms, and can say like, hey, call this number, text this hotline, do this. You can get support. It's normal. I've experienced it, or I know someone who has, and it's okay. And everything doesn't, postpartum depression is certainly there, but there's also other things that might be going on, and their support for it. You can get help and you will be well.
I think that's such a really important thing to think about because we do need lifelines at every step of the way, right? Like returning to work, that's going to be a change. Putting your kid in daycare. Some people only get 6 weeks, if they get 6 weeks,
Mhm.
before they go back to school. So, I mean, go back to work, and put their kids in school and start doing all of that work. So, um, I know that you work with moms, but also you work with dads, and then you also work with couples. Could you tell us a little bit about what it's like to work with parents as a couple in a group?
Yeah, so often, and when I'm working with couples, I find it interesting because we all, myself included, have different ideas of what it's actually like to raise a child. Uh, so we all arrive with our assumptions of what this is going to be like and who the stranger is that we are going to meet, right? And these are conversations that I have with my clients all the time, whether it's individual or a couple. And it's important that we marry our two ideas of what it's like and then apply them to the real person who's in front of us, who has a temperament of their own, who has sleep needs of their own. We have these ideas and these assumptions, but this kid in front of you has also their own ideas and their own needs, right? And often what the difficulty is being able to marry those three things and those three different needs is often where those hiccups in the relationship, that can exist, right? So often I support couples in remembering like both of you want the best for your child. The road to get there may look different, right? As long as we get to the destination, that's usually our goal. You may take the side streets, you may take the highway, whatever it is, but we need to kind of figure out how do we get to this destination. So with the fact that I've gone to school for a really long time, there's alphabet soup behind my name, but half of my career was spent in child development, early childhood education. I'm able to support families and couples and understanding, what is this kiddo doing? What are they communicating? What do they need? And I'm able to bring that to both parents and then really work on what are they understanding? And then how can we still get to this destination of supporting this child's well-being? I've also gone to school for infant and early childhood mental health. So I'm able to help the families understand that their child's attachment and that relational aspect is super, super important. What are we doing to support that? But also reminding them it doesn't need to look like perfection. And we live in a day and age where perfection is just very prevalent. That's not what our kids need. That's absolutely, our kids are not doing that. I read something recently that, when a kid is like walking or running, we're not like booing them when they're not able to do it the first time, right? They try and try and try. And as parents, we're doing the same thing. We are trying our best, but we often boo ourselves or somebody else is booing us because we're not doing it right the first time. And that's okay. We're all doing our best. And our kids are just going to be kids. They're going to show up authentically. Little people are the most authentic people there are. They tell the truth, and that's
Yes.
important.
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah.
I love that you're saying all of this because we do beat ourselves up for not
Mhm.
being perfect in all of these ways when we would not do that with a kid.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so important to give yourself grace
Mhm.
when you're navigating these and get all the support that you need. I'm curious if you feel like the stigma around accessing mental health is the same, or if it's changed in any ways through the years.
Yeah. I feel like in the last, and maybe while I've been in the work a little bit more on purpose in the last 2 years, I feel like the stigma is still there, but the information is more available. People are talking about it more now. So even when I was my daughter is 8, and I remember like people didn't really talk about this. This was in 2017. It's not that long ago.
Yeah.
um, and I remember going to like moms groups and doing all this, but people, even in those rooms, were not talking about perinatal mental health back then. I feel like, and maybe this is because I was looking for the support myself after my son was born, that I just learned about it more, that it became something that I was very interested in. The stigma is still there. There's many communities, there's many people that I work with in different ways where they're not realizing that, oh, I likely had and still have postpartum anxiety, or oh, this is actually OCD and I was treated for anxiety. I'm not getting the right support that I need because the stigma is still there and the training isn't exactly what we all need. Also, again, because the people who interact with moms, dads, and babies don't all have that information. It's very disjointed.
That's a really good point. Do you see anything changing with postpartum doulas or childcare providers or people like that that actually have access to witnessing new parents that may be exhibiting these symptoms? Do you see that changing in their education at all?
Um, it's hard to say because I think that in federally funded programs that I've worked with, there has been a bit of a shift or a turn. Programs that have like doulas or home visitors, there's a little bit there, but not to the degree that I would hope that there is. And that's something, the work that I plan to do. So if it doesn't exist yet, then I want to create it, and those are things that I want to work on because it's important to me that when I'm working with um, early childhood programs, that the teachers who are receiving these babies are able to look at the parents and understand what they're experiencing. Oftentimes in the work that I've done in the past, myself included, we have these biases like, oh, the parent just doesn't want to come. They're walking in there with their pajamas. They don't come to any of the events. They're pretty much, we're like, saying that they're not a good parent. We're not aware of what else they may be experiencing. And what we're seeing in the door is oftentimes a symptom of something else. Um, so I hope that through my work or collaborating with others, that we can change that because the parent-child relationship is paramount, but we don't get to do it in silos. So it's really important that we collaborate with one another, all providers, so that anyone that this family is touching upon can get the support that they need, whether it's their EI provider, if there's a speech therapist, an occupational therapist, that they're armed with understanding what this is. The Their pediatrician. It's not just, hey, let's get your height and weight, make sure you're growing and get your immunizations. What is going on with you, mom and dad, or dad and whoever it is? We need to be advocating that everybody who touches on our little ones also understands that the caregiver exists too, and the child doesn't just grow without that caregiver that's behind them, and that they're well too.
Such a brilliant point. I think that the child care aspect has been over here, and then the parental support has been over here, and they haven't really found this intersection. I think you're the only person I know that's doing like the early childhood education and the mental health together. And it just feels like that was such a gap that
Uh-huh.
needed to be filled. Like,
Uh-huh.
when you say it, it sounds so brilliant and normal and like, of course,
Yeah.
but the fact that this has not happened is so bizarre to me.
Me too. I mean, and I've worked in a lot of these spaces. So I think it's now that that I decided to pursue perinatal mental health. I reflect back on my experiences in the past, and so many of the families that I've worked with in the past, families that have even had to have instances where child welfare is involved. And I'm like, but what could we have done? Right. In some instances, child welfare was something that supported the family, right? People often think that they're just taking the kids away, but there's also intact services that really support the family and staying together. But are all of those people who are involved understanding of what a perinatal mental health condition is, or how that parent may be struggling to understand their kid's diagnosis that they weren't prepared for, and how that's impacting them? No, we're not having those conversations. It's very disjointed.
That's a really good point. Seems like there should be a little bit more standardization of screenings. And, I hear the common complaint is at 6 weeks, you go to your OB and you get a check mark, you're good to go, but it seems like there should be a little bit more time and systems. I know there's a lot of providers that are working really hard in their own practice to try and fill in these gaps, but we definitely need to be speaking to each other and working together to collaborate so that we're catching, some of these issues before they get to be full-blown mental issues and just doing some simple screenings and some education. So
And
I
just some
love
real talking. We are regular people. We can just talk.
To- Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I think that's why, we all say it takes a village. It does, but I think that community aspect is so vitally important. I know that everyone's sleep deprived and probably not eating like they need to when they have a newborn, but
Yeah.
being in community with people that can witness you and listen to you so that you can be seen and heard and kind of just keep that check going. Like, are you okay? Like, are you hitting all these boxes? Are you not? Do you need anything? Do you need some extra support is vital.
Yeah. And that's something that I found myself doing after my own kiddo, of just any mom that I knew that was having a baby, I'd be like, hey, you don't have to respond. You're on my mind. I just want to make sure you're okay. And it was just, and that's authentic, because in my pregnancies, I wish that would have happened to me. Not saying it didn't at all, but if people had that of like, hey, you don't need to respond, or if you respond at 2 a.m., that's good too, because you're probably awake. I might be too, but just making sure that, oh, you're on my mind, do you matter? I just want, everybody's going to ask about that baby. The baby,
Exactly.
right? Baby's
Exactly.
fine.
Yeah.
Ask about the people that are caring for the baby, and ask about both. If there's both parents, ask about both parents, because we're oftentimes missing the non-gestational parent too, and not screening them,
Yep.
not asking how it is for them.
Yep, that is something that I'm also very passionate about. I think that we have got to include everybody because everybody is part of the support ecosystem, and nobody gets left out. When I was a prenatal massage therapist, I would often bring the partner in
Mhm.
towards the last bit, 38 weeks. Bring the partner in. I'm going to show a couple of techniques, and we're going to talk, and we're going to bring you into the fold so that you're not standing in the corner during birth terrified of what's happening and
Yeah,
not having any tools at your disposal.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think when you can empower the support parents, or anybody. A lot of times family comes in. Any of those
Yeah.
people who are there to support, empower them to support effectively is so, so important. I know I could talk to you all day, but
Yes.
uh, let everyone know how they can find you and how they can work with you.
Yeah, so my website is www.mindfulstarts.com. Mindful Starts on Instagram. And my work is going to be in supporting families one on one, or also just providing some voice note support to people who are like, "Hey, what's going on? What's the problem here?" So I have what's called the back pocket parent that's meant to support you in those times when you're like, "Hey, I'm struggling," and I can give you some real, just relatable conversational language to put around what you're experiencing and some tips and tools that you can use in your real life. So I have a beta offering because I'm just now launching it. Um, but if you reach out to me, DM me, I don't care. It's me answering it. So um, I'm happy to
So it's
chat
okay
with
at 2
you.
a.m. to reach out.
It's okay. Yeah, I may not respond or I might because I might also be up. I have two little people too. But it's me that's responding. And the way in which I talk to you today, Sally, is the way that I talk to people. I talk to them very regular because that's the support that's needed. We don't need any of this high stuffy support. We need accessible, relatable support. And that's what I'm here to provide. So Mindful Starts on Instagram and then mindfulstarts.com.
I love it. I love it. That's phenomenal. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. I'll put all of this in the show notes too, so y'all can just check out Carina and Mindful Starts. And I will talk to you soon.